everybody. Today we're going to be going over our Hunt a Killer Curtain Call Episode 2 investigation. Hunt a Killer is a subscription where you receive a box every month and you find a killer, and there will be more information in the description. I've been subscribed to it for a year and maybe 3 months now, and I really love it. We do the every 6 month subscription, me and my husband, and it's about $165, I think, for 6 months, and you get 6 boxes or 6 episodes within that time. And you can also expedite some boxes, but not in this case. It's the newest case. But yeah, you can also expedite boxes too if you cannot wait for the next one. But anyway, in this case, Curtain Call, we're looking into the cold case murder of Viola Vane. She was a stage actress in the 1930s, and she went missing. The case went unsolved for decades. And then Julia Adler, who's the owner now of the Cadence Theater, found Viola stuffed in a trunk in the attic of the Cadence Theater. In the last episode, we determined that a cane, a walking cane, was the murder weapon that killed Viola Vane. And in this episode, we eliminate a suspect. So, what I did notice is that this episode seems to be very heavy in terms of ciphers and having to figure them out. So I will go over stuff with you. I won't leave you hanging. But first, let's go over Julia's letter. In this letter, she says that she received a letter from the board of the theater saying that they're planning to sell the theater. Okay, and we actually, with our online evidence, were able to read that letter that the board had sent to Julia. So that was very interesting. And then, since the body had been found, she explains that the theater is just not doing as well, and it wasn't doing great in the first place. And since news of the murder weapon, the cane, was leaked to the press, business has been even worse, okay? So no one wants to be at a crime scene. So she's sending a lot of information to us so that we can help find the murderer. And this time she asks us to eliminate a suspect. The next piece of evidence that we need to look at is the police report. So in the police report from the 1930s, when Viola was killed, not the current ones, the report starts with Olga, who's Viola's mother. And she says that she was returning to their shared apartment to find her daughter Viola missing after calling around, and then she alerted police. Olga explained to police that Viola had just come back from an extended rest cure. So, if you've never heard of a rest cure, what that is back in the 1930s and before, I think it was like 1870s that this started, but the rest cure was for women who had nervous conditions like hysteria or anorexia, okay? And the woman would be on forced bed rest, forced seclusion, and they would also be forced to eat a lot. You know, it was like a treatment for anorexia, so they would feed them a lot of meat, I guess. So I read a lot about the rest cure after I read Charlotte Perkins Gilman's The Yellow Wallpaper. That's an excellent story. I recommend everyone Google it and read it. It explains the rest cure very well, and if you read that, you will be very empathetic toward Viola and what she went through. But I digress. In the police report, Olga, Viola's mother, stated to police that she last saw her daughter the night before at Cadence Theater and that they argued over a family matter. Then Olga left the theater. So, the police report goes on, and the police interview George Erickson and Evelyn Kittredge. They do not interview George Erickson's wife, Ruth. They interview Hector Rowland, which is Viola's ex-fiance, I believe at this time. And then Joseph Sampson and Ira Adler. And then it just says further interviews will be necessary with Ruth. And then at the end it just says that Viola Vane should no longer be considered a missing person, which is so unfortunate. So what I got from the police report mostly was that the police were idiots back then. They didn't care, and they didn't really look into the case that much. And also my number one suspect right now is Evelyn Kittredge, which was like the backup for the starring role in the play. And I also think we'll be using this police report a lot like throughout the case because it's really rich with information. So I'm going to be hanging on to that for sure. And next we're going to get into something that's very cipher heavy. So let's do it. Let's just jump into it. As you can see, I have a website pulled up. I think you can see. But it's the Cadence Theater. It has a lot of information, and it's fun to look around for the case. It's very nice that they set this up. So, like, here are a bunch of pictures. There's George Erickson and his wife Ruth right there. I don't know if you can see that. So there's Viola Vane, the woman that was murdered, and Joe Sampson, the stage manager. So yeah, I think that's very cool, and you can look at this at cadencetheater.com. Alright, let's get into the ledger. So we have the ledger, and it includes some really creative bookkeeping. Let's go ahead and start with the October side, which is this side. Okay? So coded messages on this are explained in the shift cipher section of the desktop, the shared desktop for this case. And if you can see here, there's a 3 on top and a 4 on bottom. So what that means is, let's go ahead and decipher this word right here that looks sort of like everything. How you would do this is the top number indicates which letter is going to be shifted, and the bottom number indicates how much of a shift. For example, with the top number of 3 and the bottom number of 4 in the word everything, every third letter is shifted to the left 4 times, and it turns into EVIRYXHIRG. Excuse me. So let's go ahead and look at the coded messages. They are as follows. So if you haven't figured this out yet and you want to on your own, it'd be nice to just like go ahead and fast forward a bit until we get into this letter. I don't think there's any spoilers for that. So the coded messages are as follows. This first one here is everything's going to be okay, not that you're coming back. Then get in touch about loans. Then call bank about mortgage. That's the coded messages from here to here. Then on the other side, there's a coded message down here which says buyers, Ira. So it looks like this is like George's bookkeeping, and maybe he was in a little bit of financial trouble. So let's go ahead and go back to the first page. On this first page, October 12th, there's a coded message and it says gifts. Okay, so these coded messages within this is to hide what this money is, okay? October 19th is loan, 30% interest. On November 1st, which is on the other side, at the very top, is loan, 30% interest. November 4th is gifts, again. And then November 16th is Olga. So, Olga is Viola's mom, if you remember. So what I get from this is that George Erickson was hiding gifts. He was also taking out high interest loans to keep the theater afloat. And that may play into the case a little more later. So, the next piece of evidence we'll look at is a letter from Hector Rowland to Olga Guyna. In this letter, it's to Viola's mother, and he apologizes for canceling a meeting with her on short notice. This letter was written while Hector and Viola were still engaged, and it seems like Viola's mom went to a lot of trouble to get Viola and Hector together. It seems like she was putting in a lot of work to get them down the aisle as well, and it also sounds like Hector sees the marriage as a way to further advance his career, and that's it. So, you know, the rest cure that Viola had to go through in this, I feel really bad for her. I don't know if, like, her being a stage, like, a theater star was, like, a very good life, even if, you know, everyone loved her and gave her adoration. It seemed like she didn't have any freedom. So, I don't know, I just feel really bad for her. Okay, folks, so the second half of my video disappeared and I am refilming it. So, the next thing we're going to go over is a coded letter along with a handkerchief. So, when you first start to read this coded letter, it says gibberish, and then I'm taking precautions in case a coded message finds this letter, which is why a few phrases might seem a bit backwards to you. If you find yourself at a loss, look to the gift I embroidered you for guidance. So, of course, I'm thinking it has to do with this, right? And I see, well, first of all, I was thinking of the flowers because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 flowers. So I was like, maybe it has something to do with that. But then, I noticed there's an E, right? So I was like, who is E? Is it Evelyn or what? And then, this V. And I remembered that it said phrases might seem a bit backwards. Well, E is the 5th letter of the alphabet, and V is the 5th from the last letter of the alphabet. So, I figured it out that you just switch the alphabet. The alphabet's backwards. That's the code. So, it says, when vanity becomes elegance, the truth can emerge. And that's also, vanity is capitalized. There's the V. And elegance is also capitalized. Okay, so it provides enough clues to figure out that the coded message is just the alphabet backwards. And I really like that handkerchief. It's so cute. And I love it that my name's Erica, of course, and it has an E on it. So cute. Okay. So, I am going to give you guys a spoiler alert right now because I'm going to be reading the coded letter aloud. Darling, I'm taking precautions in case Mother finds this letter, which is why a few phrases might seem a bit backward to you. If you find yourself at a loss, look to the gift I embroidered you for guidance. When vanity becomes elegance, the truth can emerge. The walls in the cadence tend to have ears, so I don't feel secure asking you this in person, but I was wondering if Ruth has said anything to you about me lately. She pulled me aside earlier today and told me in no uncertain terms that she wished I had never been cast in duo. I asked her what she meant, but she just said that I should be ashamed of myself and stormed away. I genuinely have no idea what any of that was about. Have I done something to offend her? Is it the stress of her pregnancy making itself manifest? This is the worst possible time for me to have made an enemy. It's simply too much. With the show, the press, and the wedding to contend with, I barely have any time to breathe. I can count on one hand the number of times I felt neither hungry, nor tired, nor miserable. That's over the past few months, and during every single one of them I've been with you. There's no sign of any real reprieve on the horizon, though. Mother has my life planned down to the matching outfits I'm wearing with Hector to our hypothetical film premieres in 38. It's a selfish thing to complain about, I know. But I can't stop thinking about what you said the other day, about being able to step back and see the big picture. It made me realize that I've spent my entire life like a carriage horse fitted with blinders. I've never seen anything but the path I'm being driven down. I can't go on like this forever. I need to get out of this city. But my contract and my engagement make that impossible. Thank you for being such a good confidant over these past few months. You've made me realize how good it can feel to make a choice of my own every now and again. I've asked Hector to go over reception plans with Mother at 6 o'clock tomorrow. We can meet in my dressing room while they're busy. See you soon, Viola. So, there is a lot to unpack in that letter. I think it's to Joe Sampson, but I'm not absolutely 100% positive. And then, the next thing we have is this delivery slip. The slip was received by Joe Sampson and has a coded message on the back. So this is another keypad cipher, which is explained in the online desktop for this case. And as you can see, it says MNO right here, right? So you would just continue. On the next line it would be PQR, STU, and so on and so forth. And until you have the entire alphabet. And then the box with Y and Z, there are only 2 letters in it. Okay? So, then this three digit code with a letter, and then a number is, so the first one is whether it's on top, in the middle, or on bottom, I believe. And then the next one is whether it's here, here, or here. And then the 3 is like, so it would be O, because it would be the 3rd letter in the box, okay? And that's how you figure out that code. And I'm going to go ahead and read the code to you. It says, so go ahead and fast forward if you want to figure that out on your own. It says, let me know if you need help hiding this from him. So I suspected that the evidence from the previous episode with the keypad cipher was Joe. It seems to me that Joe and Viola may have been allies, and I wish that maybe Joe would have kept looking for Viola a bit harder after disappearance, and I don't know, maybe he did. But this is a delivery for a Sentinel lockbox of medium size, and it also says that the customer will install it. So why did Viola need a lockbox? I wonder about that, because I think that was probably for Viola. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and look at is a magazine page, and it says, "Nothing strange in her success, understudy shines in the spotlight." So this is basically about Evelyn Kittredge and how she took over for Viola Vane and was her replacement. And I know this is Julia Adler's grandmother, but I don't really like her very much as a character, and I believe that she is the main, well, for me, she's the main suspect at this time. So on the other page, on the other side of this page, it says, "How is Broadway to contend with Hollywood?" And I thought that was kind of cool. It is just like an article about how, you know, like the stage is going to be no longer because there's now, you know, moving pictures or whatever. So what we're going to go over last is the online evidence, and we already went over the letter from the board when we looked at Julia's letter. Excuse me. But there was also online a receipt for a flower shop, and this is important. This is a very important piece of evidence because this shows that Joe, in the police report, he gave an alibi, like, for where he was when Viola disappeared. And this backs that up. So basically, Joe is getting roses for Viola when Viola disappeared from the theater. And here is a receipt for where Joe went and picked up roses for her. So basically, Joe can be eliminated as a suspect. So, in conclusion, the online evidence and the police report shows that we can eliminate Joe as a suspect, the stage manager, because he has a solid alibi that was backed up with that receipt. If you love this video and want to see more videos like it, go ahead and give this video a like. And if you want to follow along with this exciting case, go ahead and subscribe and ring that notification bell so you can catch the next episodes. And I will see you soon. Bye-bye.